Hello and good morning. Welcome to Datamura Solutions online learning session, how to create, maintain, and manage a digital master asset list. My name is Bill Thompson. I'll be the moderator today. I'm joined by Iram Maravalis, a project engineer, and Kathy Raj, a data management analyst here at Datamura Solutions. A few housekeeping items before we get started. First off, the session is being recorded. Access to the recording and a copy of the presentation will be distributed to all registrants. We are fostering engagement with this discussion and demonstration this morning, and we please ask you to submit questions via the GoToWebinar panel on the questions section. We will be addressing each question at the conclusion of our prepared content, and we encourage your participation this morning. So this morning's topic is really about discussing the importance of maintaining and managing a digital master asset list. The process ensures that all our information is digitally available, enabling accessibility from multiple locations within a facility. So we're talking about data integration, correlation, creating information transparency, and opening up new decision-making channels versus dealing with siloed systems and siloed information. Iram and Kathy will focus today's demonstration discussion on creating that master asset list digitally, correlation of assets, and finally the location hierarchy. So again, we welcome your participation via questions via the chat panel. I will transfer this over to Kathy. She will lead the next section of the presentation as my distinct honor to welcome Kathy Raj. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, Bill, and thank you everyone for attending today. My name is Kathy Raj, and I work as a data management analyst at Datamura Solutions. And today we'll be discussing the importance of maintaining and managing a digital master asset list, utilizing our Strategic Asset Management Portal, or SAMP, as we like to call it. So this portal allows our users to save time and obtain various information related to any given asset within a facility. Our dashboard is built around a data lake framework that ensures that all the asset information is read from and assessed in one centralized location. So creating a digital master asset list is important because it helps in developing a strategy for maintaining and managing the life cycle of an asset. Life cycle meaning the commissioning of it, the use of it, and then the decommissioning of it. I'm going to get started here with the location asset hierarchy table. So with this tab, you'll see that you can find any asset in any facilities based on the location of the asset without having to walk it down. And this is important because you can access this from your own computer, at work, at home. And it's important because of data aggregation. This process saves time by allowing individuals to locate assets using various methods throughout the dashboard. And there's a clear hierarchy here. So you can see that the Datamura campus has some equipment, instruments, and valves under it. And then you'll see the different buildings that are located under the Datamura campus, such as 2 Baltimore Street, 1 Baltimore Street, or 3 Baltimore Street. I'm going to go ahead and click on one of them. Here you'll see that there's an area associated to it, a floor, and then different rooms. As you can see, if you click on any of these rooms, you can go ahead and view all the assets located in the specific room. You can also look at asset details when you click on the pop-up window view. You can toggle through details, drawings, and asset correlations, all this information through this view. The importance of this is that we utilize data from CMMS to help organizations achieve facilities business objectives. And you can conduct analysis at any level. So it's very important to have one centralized location for all the assets to live in. Next, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the master asset list. The master asset list is a list of master assets located in one centralized location to organize and display all the relevant connections to specific assets in this location. So for example, you'll see here that there are different phases on the master asset list. There's the on-site phase, the design phase, the obsolete phase. Assets that are currently on the facilities are on the on-site phase. If the assets are being implemented on the facilities, they're in the design phase. And if the assets are no longer on the facilities, but you may need some information regarding those assets, you can go ahead and check in the obsolete phase. Here you'll see various columns that define different information regarding an asset. And you can go ahead and search through this list and find anything that you'd like. You can also download this list and export it as a CVS file. And you can do any data validation, any data related tasks through this. So for the sake of our presentation, I'm going to go ahead and find a tank for us. Lastly, we get all this information from various sources, such as BMS, CMMS, financial management systems, calibration systems, and the most important thing to keep in mind is that it's all in one centralized location. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this tank. This brings us to a details overview for this tank. On this tab, you can see that there are various different information regarding this tank. You'll see the details nameplate data, which is, you'll see the equipment number for the tank. You'll see the type of equipment it is. You can see the location of the equipment and the parent of the equipment. So sometimes some equipment are a part of a bigger system. In this instance, you'll find that this tank is a part of a bigger system, which is a roadie skid system. And in this sense, you can go ahead and click on that and then view all the different information you need to regarding the roadie skid system. Next, you'll see that it talks about the different systems, the process water distribution system. It talks about the manufacturer, model, the serial relating to this tank, the part number, if there were any, and the compliance and regulatory impacts. On the right-hand side, you'll see the status of the tank. Is this tank on site? Is it in the design phase, or is it obsoleted? You can go ahead and view the status there. And underneath that, you'll find there's a criticality overview. I'm not going to go into detail about this because Iram will be talking about it in detail, but the criticality overview it talks about how important this tank is to the overall facility's processes. And if we scroll further, you'll see that there are different instruments and different valves associated to this tank. And it's very important because this way you have a high-level overview of the asset. And we have this concept of a QR code. So if someone, for example, maintenance staff or someone that deals with data regarding this tank, wants to go in and walk through the facilities and go to the actual tank, you can go ahead and scan a QR code that will take you to this exact view. And you can come in here and go through and download any data that you need to at any time. So initially, we go through the data acquisition phase. Then we use the integration and correlation to view discrepancies between everything, and we standardize it through one location. So that's the end of my part of the presentation. I'm going to go ahead and give Iram the floor. Thank you for listening.
Hello everyone, Iram here. I'm a senior project engineer in Datamura. So today I'll be going over all the equipment tabs above to show you guys how we manage and maintain various information about any asset using our dashboard. So just to let you guys know again, the main idea here is that we're using our own data lake framework where we gather data coming in from various systems to display in one centralized location in our dashboard. So this helps ensure that all the data coming in from siloed systems are aligned and standardized across the field. So let's go ahead and begin. So starting off, we have the criticality button. This feature here is mainly for asset lifecycle optimization in order for the maintenance staff to decide and choose the correct maintenance strategy, depending on its criticality to decrease planned maintenance time through a proactive maintenance strategy approach. So in here, in this view, we allow users to quickly see the criticality assessment score and also see the questions and answers from subject matter experts for this equipment on different locations. So as I scroll down, you can see that we have personalized questions for the overall asset and then more specific questions for reliability and maintenance. So the way this works is that in the back end, all of these questions and answers are in a weighted scale and automatically calculated to give us the correct score for each of the 3 categories that we just went through on the left-hand side. And then it also spits out the latest assessment date that this equipment was assessed. So if we ever wanted to filter it or sort it by either the scorings or the assessment date, we can quickly do so by going over to the criticality overviews panel and seeing all the equipment in one location. And that again helps with determining what kind of maintenance strategy to go with, and overall just helping with a better, more proactive maintenance approach. So one thing I want to emphasize on is that all of these features here in this view, questions and answers, and even the scoring method that we use are completely configurable to any client or any team and the application that the equipment is worked, or how the equipment is worked. And next we have the drawings overview tab. And in here, this is where we keep all of the drawings that this equipment is associated with. So right now, as soon as we get into this view, we can quickly see the metadata for this drawing that's currently in the working bucket. And if we would like to see more information here in this default view, we can click on this options icon, and then we can quickly toggle on and toggle off and see more of what we like to see in this view here. So right now we have 3 different buckets in this view. The first one is the working bucket, and this is where drawings are pretty much already approved and ready to be used throughout the whole facility. The second bucket is the in review bucket, and this is where drawings live if they're being worked on by an engineer or waiting for an approval by a manager in order to get to the working bucket. And lastly, we have a bucket for the obsolete drawings, and these are drawings that are no longer being used or are pretty much deleted or are pretty much deleted and not being used in the facility. So instead of saving it in an archive within 10 different subfolders in a drive, we prefer placing it in here so we can quickly refer back to it if ever needed. So let's go into the in review bucket and look at a specific drawing a little bit more closely. So if we would like to see more information about this drawing, we can either click in here in this space, or we can quickly click on this pop-up window icon, and the window will pop up where we can see more information about that drawing, like the status of it, the location, and overall metadata for it. If we would like to see the PDF for this specific drawing, we can click on this link, and it'll automatically direct us to the location of where this drawing is placed. So right now we're linked to SharePoint, but again, this can be configurable to work with whatever the client has in store or in place at the moment. So it can be through Box, through a drive, anywhere that they store the drawings. Another cool feature here in this pop-up window is that we can actually see the list of either equipments, instruments, and valves that are currently living inside of the drawing without even having to open up the PDF. So for whatever reason, we would like to scroll through the instruments and get more information about the instrument that's located in the drawing, we can quickly do so by, again, selecting the pop-up window and going over the details or going over all the drawings that are associated, or also going over the asset correlations that pertain to this instrument. Next, we have the asset correlations tab, and in here, users can quickly see all the different names that this equipment is being called in different systems. So depending on the facility, you may have different CMMS systems, BMS systems, collaborations or calibration systems, etc. And sometimes within all of those systems, the same equipment may have a different naming standard associated to it. So this tool here allows all of these siloed systems, or all of the people working within the siloed systems, to quickly search based on the number they know in order to quickly find the right equipment to then search for and drill through and find exactly what they need. Next, we have the work orders tab. And in here, these are all the data that are coming in from any CMMS system for this equipment. So the way this works is that we aggregate the data in the back end based on the equipment, and then we perform some maintenance KPIs so maintenance staff members can quickly see how the equipment is running. So here we can see some familiar KPIs, which is mean time to repair, the mean time between failure, the annual average rolling, or the yearly rolling average for maintenance hours, and the yearly rolling average for maintenance costs pertaining to unplanned breakdown and planned breakdown. So again, this is a nice tool to use whenever you're trying to compare different equipments or the same equipment that may be in different areas of the building. So then you can ask yourself, why is one equipment working more efficiently than another equipment that's basically the same? It'll also help you determine the root cause of that issue of why one is running better than the other one. So if we scroll down, we can also see the list of different work orders associated with this equipment. And if we would like to see more information about the work order, we can quickly drop down and expand that work order and see more information regarding that work order. In this view here, we can also quickly filter and sort, depending if we want to maybe sort by the cost or the start and end date for all the work orders. You can do so as well. And if you would like to do further analysis using Excel, you could quickly come in here and export this as a CSV and then use Excel to do further calculations. Next, we have the manuals tab, and this is where all the documents live that will be useful, and that can be useful for this equipment. So in here we can have warranty letters, manuals, different SMPs, SOPs in place, anything really that will help a user come in here and reference off of whenever needed. And lastly, we have the facilities data tab, and this is where we have live sensor reading for different instruments located on this equipment. So if I drop down the BMS points, we can quickly see the water temperature, input flow rate, output flow rate, water level, and head pressure. Keep in mind this is a demonstration, so all of the data here is dummy data. But if you have a BMS in place, we can connect to it. It could either be through the back end or the front end. And then if we would like to do more analysis on it, we can also toggle between the time frames. We can also smooth out the data and so on. And then if we would like to maybe download this and share it to a wider audience, we can quickly do so by clicking on the right-hand corner of this window and downloading an image or an Excel file in order to do more calculations to it. So that's pretty much it on my end. But if you guys have any other questions, or if you guys would like to see more about what this dashboard is capable of, please reach out to either me or any other team member in this webinar, and we'll be more than happy to show you guys more about this dashboard. Thank you, and I'll go ahead and pass it over to Bill.
Thank you, Aaron. And at this point, we would like to open up questions to the audience. If there's anything you see here, I'll also provide Iram's contact information in the chat box in a moment. If you do have questions, please submit those into the questions panel. We do have some questions that we can start with, but we can keep this going for the next couple minutes. If something comes up or these questions trigger additional questions, our team will be happy to address them. So Kathy and Iram, first question is, how do you provide data security? I don't know, Iram or Kathy, you want to start with that?
Yeah, I can answer that. So we provide data security through various layers. So I mean, first our servers usually live on the client site. So anyone that needs access to the dashboard will need access from the IT department in the client site. So this usually leads to the person that it's in needing of access to need access to the company network or the VPN. So I mean, in other words, it's not open to the public. We also have other security measures in place like disaster recovery through scheduled data backups. And also just something to keep in mind, with our data lake framework, we are not changing any information in the siloed systems. We are only pulling the information from them. So the validated systems inside the client's site is also secure by not being changed at any point.
Thank you, Iram. Okay, we have one here. Have you run into issues while assessing the criticality of assets or equipment?
I can answer that one too. So in the past we have, but now we have a more standardized process where maintenance staffs can follow, and it provides them with the correct maintenance strategy. But as you know, obviously some of the questions and answers we have in place may not fit their needs, because every facility is different. So you can have an R&D environment or manufacturing environment. But we work with our customers to define the process that will fit their needs to ensure that they choose the correct maintenance strategy through proactive maintenance.
Great. Okay. Here is one. How do you improve asset data standardization?
I can go ahead and answer that. Thanks, Bill. So we acquire data from multiple sources, as we stated earlier, or disparate systems, such as CMMS, capital management systems, VMS systems, and we do that. When we do that, we create a data lake concept. And then we receive that data, we adhere to the original facility standards of the data. And then with this information that comes from multiple sources, we process it and go through it and make sure that there are no holes in this data. And then in that sense, we integrate it and correlate it with other things. We perform system harmonization by fine-tuning the data from different siloed systems. And we don't disrupt the original siloed systems. They're still in place. But doing that, going through this process, that's how we standardize data.
You want to add, Iram, you good?
No, yeah, that was good. Thank you.
Okay. Sure. One more here. I may have missed this, and you may have just touched on it, Kathy. What are the typical systems you integrate with in a standard facility that you deal with?
Yeah, so with the facilities that we work with, we use disparate systems, again, like I mentioned earlier, such as CMMS systems, the capital management systems, VMS systems. There's a lot of data available, and I don't think we understand that, but there's a ton of data available out there. But if we cannot get that data to work for us, then it just sits there and it doesn't do anything. So we go ahead and take that data, process it, and make sure that we're connecting to the right systems, and we are connecting the dots, closing the gaps, and we're making sure that all this data can be accessed by people in the data analyst department, people who are maintaining this data, engineers, and other management staff. So that's why that's important. Thanks.
Thanks, Kathy. Iram, anything you want to add?
No, I think that was good.
Okay. And I have someone's asking a direct question here. Do you integrate with SAPM or SAP for financials? I guess which one? I guess the question is, do you do SAP PM or SAP for financial data?
Yeah, so we can connect to any system out there. It's pretty much easy, pretty much almost all the same. Well, but depending on it comes down to IT mainly. So if they don't allow us to link to it directly, we find other ways of doing so. So just as an example, what we've done in the past was scheduled pulling of data and data pushes into our system through the backend. So that way we don't have direct a link, but we have a scheduled process of where we grab the data manually and push it in manually as well. So that's just one of the hardest. That's the hardest way of grabbing the data, but it's actually pretty easy. But we can pretty much connect to any system out there with no issues.
Great, thank you, Ira. All right, we have a new question. Does your product have the ability to identify deficiencies in your structure? For instance, if they don't have all the data points that you demonstrated. I'll give you a second. Go ahead.
Yes, so we can definitely, if we don't have the data points that we just demonstrated, we work with you. We work with the client in order to access whatever data that you have your hands on. And then once we get our hands on it, we can go ahead and see what way we can implement this into our dashboard. It doesn't necessarily have to be, our dashboard doesn't necessarily have to follow some sort of an exact template. We can go ahead and create any sort of dashboard with whatever data that we are given. So again, if we're not working with BMS points, if we're not working with SAP, we can definitely work with other systems in order to present this, show this data off to different departments in any which way you would need us to do. So again, the SAMP is not a product, it's just something that we've created and worked on with whatever data we could get our hands on. So again, we can use anything that you can provide us with and make it accessible for everyone to obtain and see.
That's great. Thank you, Kathy.
You're welcome.
Okay, well, we have about 2 more minutes for any additional questions. Give it a last go around. Our time goal with this was about 30 minutes, so we're right on target. Just going to give 1 more minute, Ira and Kathy, to see if we get anything else in the chat box. Okay, well, unless something comes in the next 60 seconds, we'll move on from question and answer. Thank you, Ira and Kathy. That was very informative, and thank you for addressing the questions. I want to thank the audience for attending today. I want to mention a couple of things we have coming up tied into the same solution, basically an extension of this morning's online learning. October, we have a live data solutions event planned, followed by a longer session in December on maintaining and managing facilities projects. We invite you to stay up to date on our latest project industry communications via our website and LinkedIn company page. And I have provided Iram's contact information in the chat in case you have any questions specifically on the applications that we demonstrated this morning and some of the processes. And if any general questions, please use info@datamura.com. And just want to conclude today with kind of a summary of what we're talking about, what we're demonstrating here. And over the years, we've noticed, even in the most modern of facilities, site engineering directors continue to have issues with duplication of effort and a lot of redundancy. And more often than not, these issues are tied to siloed systems and information. You just can't get the information or have not been able to get it historically. And as we walk through the process with our customers, we the situation is soon understood by all the key stakeholders within the organization. So we developed this strategic asset management portal and approach and a facilities intelligence dashboard, not as a to do away with or eliminate other systems or job roles. It's really getting the siloed systems and information and data consistent, working together in one central location to, it's all about better asset management and improved facility processes. Really making more informed decisions with a complete data set. And so that's really where our value proposition lies, is making sure as close as you can get to a complete data set for your decision making regarding your assets. So once again, on behalf of Kathy, Iram, and the whole Datamura Solutions team, this is Bill Thompson. I want to say thank you for joining us this morning, and we look forward to speaking with you again at our next event. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.